I am packing some alpaca fiber samplers, and I thought I would go live and you guys could keep me company. I'm packing black alpaca, fawn, and brown. So there's 3 colors in each bag. So you get a sampling of each. And this is baby alpaca. So it's pretty soft, and this is called comb top. Some people call it roving, but it is actually a comb top preparation. All the fibers are about the same length, and all the air is taken out, so they're nice and smooth and silky. The alpaca has also been graded, which means you don't have any of the neck fiber or the leg fiber. Did you know that there's 2 types of alpacas? There is what they call Huacaya. It's spelled Huacaya. And then we also have the Surrey alpacas. The Huacayas have a little bit more crimp to their fiber. If you look at their fur, I mean, you could call it fur if you want to. It has a little bit more wave to the hair, right, or the fur. But the Surrey is more straight, and it's a lot longer. So if you Google Huacayas and Surreys, they may look the same. I mean, they're the same, about the same size and the same shape. They have the same eyes and the same head shape and all that. But their fur is different, or their fiber. That's what we call it. When you see alpaca socks or an alpaca sweater, look at the tag, because there's usually some wool in it. And the reason that they do that is because alpaca fiber doesn't have what's called memory. So wool has memory in that it has a lot of crimps or little waves to the fiber. And when it's stretched, it bounces back. But alpaca doesn't seem to do that very well. So they need to add a little wool to it, or something that gives it a little elasticity so it doesn't stretch out. Okay, I'm going to move this. Oh no, I'm not done with that yet. What am I doing? I'm not done with that yet. Also, let's see. Alpacas have soft pads on the bottom of their feet, so they don't dig up the ground like maybe horses or cows would. They have very soft feet, so they don't destroy the pastures, which is pretty cool. They also have what's called fighting teeth. So in the back of their jaw, they have these sharp teeth that if they were fighting, they might hurt another alpaca or whatever. But when we used to raise alpacas, we would loop something around their tooth, like a little file, and then we'd file off that tooth because they're really soft. Also, let's see, what else about alpacas? Oh, they spit. So when they get pissed off, they'll spit at you. And they bring the greenest, stinkiest stuff all the way up from their stomach, and they will spit in your face. Llamas have a tendency to spit a little bit more than alpacas. They're from the same family. It's called Camelids. So you have alpacas, llamas, Huacayas, and then camels are also in the same family. But camels have a different sort of fiber. They have an undercoat, which is fluffy, and an overcoat, which is more hairy. So when they shed during their shedding season, it may be spring, I'm not really sure when they shed. It might be different in the desert. That's the coat that you're going to spin into yarn because it's really, really soft. It's really beautiful. And yak's the same way, though they're not in the same family. But they have that undercoat. And same with buffalo. You want to wait for them to shed, and then you'll take that undercoat. Oh, and if you go to Yellowstone, don't pick up anything that you find on the ground, even if it's something that a buffalo shed, because it is against the law, and you can get arrested for that. You can get arrested for taking a little piece of fur out of Yellowstone if they catch you. So anyway, that's one of the things about Yellowstone. And the animals, because they protect them. What else about alpacas? They cush. It's called cushing, when they fold their legs underneath them and then they sort of lay on the ground. They eat grass. They will eat, grains and alfalfa, but we don't want to give too much alfalfa to alpacas because it's not good for their liver. So if you're going to have them with other animals in the pasture and those animals eat alfalfa, you may want to think about that. Also, alpacas are herding animals, which means they're not good alone. They just are not good by themselves. So you really should have 2 alpacas, if not more. This is one interesting thing about alpacas is they poop in a pile. So they have a commune poop pile, and they will poop and pee in that pile, which is so crazy to me. I mean, even when they're just born and they're starting to poop and pee, they head over to that pile, and they just seem to know that that's where they're supposed to go to the bathroom. It's really weird. Let's see. What else about alpacas that I can tell you about? Alpacas nurse. They nurse their babies, and you can't really milk an alpaca because the little teats are teeny. They're like 4. They're 4 and they're about that far apart. Teeny tiny. There's no way you can milk an alpaca that I know of. Llamas and alpacas can be crossbred, though it's not done very often. And if they do, it's called a chorizo. Their offspring's called a chorizo. There's the samples. These will be on Camelids Fiber Arts in a little while because they're going to my daughter's house in North Carolina because she works for me. And sometimes I'll pack some things up for her when I have it, and then I just send it to her, and she takes care of all the shipping and all that stuff. So alpacas are from Peru, and the Incas domesticated them about 6,000 years ago. In Peru, they eat them. They eat the colored ones because they want the white alpaca fur to be able to dye it all sorts of different colors. So most of the darker alpacas are eaten, and I heard it's delicious, though I've never eaten one before, so I don't know. Alpaca fiber is flame resistant and water resistant, so it can wick away moisture and things like that. It's pretty cool. Alpaca fiber is really dirty and dusty because alpacas love to roll around in dust and dirt. And a lot of times they may even roll around in the poop pile. So you want to make sure and wash their fiber before you spin it into yarn or felt with it, whatever you're going to do with it. Alpaca poop is, they call them beans because they're little, round, they look like beans, like coffee beans. They are an excellent source of, what do they call it, fertilizer to put in the ground. And you know, with cow poop, you can't put it on hot, you have to age it. Alpaca poop, you don't have to, it's called putting it on hot. And you can make an alpaca tea with the poop by putting it in a bucket of water and letting it steep. Some people put the beans in a like a cheesecloth bag and let it steep for a couple days. And then they use that water on their plants. So, okay, I can't get that one off. So it's pretty resourceful. Alpacas, they make a humming noise, which is really kind of cool. So if you go to the zoo or if you go to an alpaca farm and they hum, it means they're super, they're happy, or they might be bored or something like that. But they also make what's called a warning sound. It's kind of a little, like a low screech. So if they start to make a screeching sound, they're alerting, which means something might be in the pen. Maybe a dog or a wolf, or I don't know, something that's going to hurt them. Maybe a bunny rabbit. They're super curious. So they may come up to you and put their nose on your nose, or and they love kids. Alpacas love kids. They are so curious about children. I don't know why. Alpacas don't really like to be touched on the top of the head very much. So petting them on the neck, or if you want to catch them, grab them around the neck, because sometimes you have to catch your alpacas. And we just grab them around the neck. That fur on the top of their head is called a top knot, and that's typically not used during the processing, because it's, I don't know, just not used. Alpacas are typically not coated, which means sheep are coated. Sometimes they put coats on them because they protect the wool from the environment and from dirt and all that. And they get more money for clean wool, but alpacas not so much. If you keep your pastures, they call it pasture management. If you keep your pastures nice and clean, cut down anything that has burrs or things that will get stuck in the wool, that's where your clean alpaca comes from. But the alpaca is very dusty. They love to roll around in the dirt and do dust baths, and it's very dusty, very dirty, so make sure and wash it. Let's see, what else? Gosh, I didn't know I know so much about alpacas. We used to raise them, and I took some grading classes, which means the alpaca fiber has different grades within it. There's some softer areas, which is typically the blanket. It's around the body. And then there's some coarser areas, mostly around the neck and the legs and the butt and all that stuff. Because they're so small, it only takes about an acre of land to raise 8 alpacas. Let's see, they can live to be about 25 years old, and ours lived for quite a while. We only had one pass away. He was older, and man, that was really sad. That was so sad. Alpacas come in different colors. In this one, you have the dark brown, the fawn, and the black. They also come in gray, rose gray, which has a little bit of a red tone to it. We had an alpaca that was red. Oh my gosh, it was so pretty. And then you have the spotted ones that have spots all over their body, and I love those. They're not very, for commercial, the commercial industry doesn't like them very much, but I absolutely love them. Let's see, what else about alpacas that I may have forgotten? We don't normally keep the girls and the boys in the same pasture, just because they'll be mating all the time and the boys won't leave the girls alone. So we separate the boys and the girls, and then we wean the babies from the mothers at a certain age and put them in their own little pen. Alpacas are herbivores, which mean they only eat grass and hay. They have chambered stomachs. And the baby alpaca is called a cria, C-R-I-A, and they can be about 20 pounds at birth. So they are pretty big, and it doesn't take them long to get up on their feet and get going. Next to mohair, alpaca is considered to be the second strongest natural animal fiber. And remember, it doesn't have a lot of give, so you have to add something to it like wool to give it that memory. Okay, I think that's enough about alpacas. I didn't know I knew so much. Anyway, these samplers of baby alpaca, they're 3 ounces each, will be at CamageFiberArts.com maybe sometime next week. So keep an eye. So if you've always wanted to try out some baby alpaca, you totally can spin this on its own, and it's really quite lovely. So head on over to comagefiberarts.com. We have some nice sales going on right now. And don't forget the group sale. You get discounted prices for buying by the pound. All right, thanks for joining me. Talk to you soon. Bye now.